Okay, welcome. Okay, you've reached the class of infs1201. Sometimes people call it Python 2. The official name is called computer programming. I'll probably won't use the Python 2 term, but that's fine. I'll understand what you mean if you call it Python 2. That's usually because people associate 1101 with Python 1. All right, so welcome to the first class. As promised, I hope you actually had a chance to see something in the news item. Hopefully, I remember to post something. Sorry, the beginning of the semester is really quite busy, so hopefully I did. And I'll work through the course shell so you get an idea about what to expect and what you might find there. But the whole idea behind today's class is not really to start in anything other than simply set down the rules about the actual course itself. In terms of this will probably take 45, 50 minutes or so. What you'll find with the lectures is, yes, I will begin them at 2. No, I don't decide to wait until 2:15 or something. That seems to be a standard in a couple of other courses. No, I begin at 2. Maybe I give 1 or 2 minutes and that's it. And then we'll go. All right, so all that I'm planning to do today is I've got a set of things to go through for the slides. We'll talk about what I'm expecting that you will do within this class, what I expect that you won't do within the class. We can talk about how to get successfully through the course, because I know that's always a really big concern. You've obviously heard that it's, an impossible course. Okay, but it isn't actually impossible, but it will probably take a different type of work than maybe what you're used to. That's probably the best way that we can describe this. All right, so I plan to go through the slides, and we'll probably stop a couple of times. I'll pop over and I'll show you where things will be found in the course shell as well. Okay, and let me close this up so it doesn't bother us anymore. All right, so here we go. Let's run this as a slide. Okay, here we go. Go, excellent. All right, so first of all, who am I? Oh, it says professor's name. Whoops. Okay, I was supposed to fix that and it wasn't colored, so I didn't change it. So my name is professor's name. Okay, Robert Ford. You can see the email address underneath. My office is over in building 10, down in the farthest corner, basically step away from the dean's office as far as possible. I didn't pick it for that reason, it just happens to be. I'm supposed to say when my office hours are. The easy solution is to say, see the syllabus once we finally get it. I can talk about that in a few seconds. But basically, Sunday to Wednesday is relatively free for me. Anytime that I happen to be free, yes, it's okay. The only suggestion that I say is don't walk in and ask if I'm busy. The answer is automatically yes. Okay, but say, hey, do you have 5 minutes? And as long as I'm not overwhelmed, it's actually never a problem. There will be some official times on Sunday and Monday, but basically whenever, except for Thursday. Thursday's completely impossible. Okay, what did I do? Well, okay, background. I suppose I left off how long I've been here, which feels like forever. I came to Qatar in 2009. So I've been here for a very long time. Before that, I was a software architect, and what that means mostly is you draw pictures of software. You don't actually write it. Kind of boring, but it's kind of really important. For those who carry on in the IT field, you'll kind of understand what that means later. But basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to predict, okay, who's going to work on what part, what are they going to work on, how are you going to structure it. We'll see some of it lightly in this course when we hit the section on functions, but basically just think of like, hey, you've got a program, it's got 1 million lines of code. Guess what? You don't open up a big text editor and type 1 million lines of code. You develop it in small pieces called modules, and that's kind of my job, is to break that down. In terms of research interest, because it was here, I'm really interested in educational assessment stuff, and I do a lot of stuff in mathematical modeling. That probably wouldn't mean much to people in a year 1 course, but later, if you say, hey, yeah, cool, here's a mathematical function that does something, this is the type of things that I was doing. All right, so what have we put into this course? Okay, well, I suppose the description that people use, which is Python 2, is pretty descriptive. It's a continuation of Python 1. So what we do is the first 2 weeks, it's only 2 weeks now, I actually want to get it down to 1, because any time that we're doing review of stuff is kind of wasted time that we should be spending on more important things, the the material for the course. But what I will do is, sorry, next week and the week after, it may be a little bit dull for you. I'm sorry about that, especially if you did really well in 1101. But what we do is we do a very quick review of some basic looping, some branching. We do cover things like for loops, which I know you haven't seen, so it's not all review stuff. And we'll also cover functions, but maybe from a slightly different perspective than what they may have covered in 1101. All right, as soon as we get out of that, though, then we actually hit the real stuff on functions. We go across something called primitive data structures. This is by far the most critical thing that we spend basically the entire semester on, which is when you have a lot of data, how do you manage a whole lot of data? Okay, to put this in perspective, you guys would have learned from 1101 that you can have something called a variable. What can you do with a variable? Well, you can use it to store values. How many values? One. Yeah, just one. But all of these types of things that we're seeing here, these lists, sets, tuples, and dictionaries, this is a type of data structure that allows you to store more than one value. So we're not talking about sticking a single value. We're talking maybe sticking 100, 1,000, a million items all in one variable. Sounds complex. It can be a little bit more complex, but it's the type of thing that gives you the power to be able to solve what I'm going to describe as real problems, because most of the problems that you ran across in 1101, they're not real. Okay, yeah, sorry to let you down if you thought that there was real problems. They weren't. Even the problems we do here are kind of limited, but at least you can get the sense about where you're going. I also cover basic searching algorithms and basic sorting algorithms. That'll happen like very close towards the end. And the last couple of weeks, we cover something called file processing, which is actually really, really critical because most data you don't actually type into a program. Because just before I flip to the next slide, you think back to the 1101 problems that you solved. It was always a question like, write a program that, okay, it starts this way, and it'll say, ask the user to enter 10 test scores and figure out which one was the highest. Okay, yeah, well, guess what? If I am an instructor and I've got a whole pile of tests, do you think I'm actually going to write a program to ask me to type in each of those numbers? I'm just going to scan through and look and put out the highest. Okay, I'm not going to write a program for that. You see, most things you don't type in a bunch of numbers and then have it tell you what it is. You have to do that in 1101 because you haven't learned enough programming skills. However, what you can do after the end of 1201 is maybe you can take all that data, put it into an Excel spreadsheet, and then write a program that will find it for you. Now that's much cooler because this way you don't have to type the numbers of each time. Okay, so that's the type of things that we do in the course. We get to go to something a little bit bigger. Oh, I have to use the quotation marks for the word bigger because here we might write a program that's like 30 lines of code, and that's absolutely minuscule in the real world. Okay, real world programs, as I said earlier, maybe 100,000 lines of code would be something interesting. Okay, yeah, these are really big, but you obviously have to start really small. No, I'm not going to come up with a 300,000 line program for you to write in this course. It doesn't work like this. Okay, so we start at something smaller. Okay, what comes next is the slide that everybody's always really interested in. Now, I will provide a little bit of a caveat on this. So what I'm about to show you next is entirely subject to change. Okay, all right, and that is the evaluation scheme. Okay, so the official evaluation scheme will show up in something called the course syllabus. Unfortunately, we have a little bit of a process issue within UDST, really. It isn't just CCIT, it's actually everywhere. And sometimes the official course syllabus just doesn't quite make it to us before the courses start. And that matches this semester as well. So until we actually get an official course syllabus, all that I'm going to show you on the next page is what I call hearsay. It is entirely subject to change. I'm not expecting it to change, but just to let you know. So what I'll do is I will show you the table. I will describe what each of these things are and how they are going to be evaluated. If you're coming from 1101, some of the stuff will be new. If you happen to have taken the course before, I hope that's not the case, then it will be just kind of a repeat. Okay, so here we go. This is the current expected syllabus in terms of grades. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go through each of these just so that you have an idea about what to expect, okay, and roughly when to expect it. All right, so here's the way how it goes. There's a bunch of things called labs. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's a 3-hour block. Yeah, the term lab is overloaded. It means it's used for many different things. So when you see the word lab in an evaluation scheme, what this means, it's some points towards your final score that happen to occur during the lab period. Okay. In 1101, you would have been asked to submit things, and of course the instructor would go through, provide some feedback, and provide you a grade. That was your lab grade. In this course, it's a little bit different because I find that, unfortunately, a lot of people are using LLMs to generate all their solutions these days. Yeah, sorry. That I can't use as a measurement of your ability, because the CLOs don't say the student can use an LLM to produce a solution. It says that the students can produce solutions. So unfortunately, what I have to do is those things called labs probably look an awful lot more like a test to you. It'll be done in Lockdown Browser. You'll have to write a small program within Lockdown Browser. You'll submit it, you'll get the grade. Okay? They're not really, really difficult problems. Usually the problems are kind of known to you in advance, but I can't just sort of open them up and say, okay, just copy and paste whatever you want from ChatGPT. Sorry, this is the mitigation against it. All right, there will be 7 of these spread across the entire semester. Basically, they happen every other week, but you notice it's got the word for counted. And what this is, there are seven, I get the right number of fingers. There are 7 of them in total, and only 4 of them will actually count towards your grade. But sorry, I don't do anything like I take the highest. No. There will be specific ones that are counted. Okay. When we get the syllabus, I'll make sure they're very, very clear. It's usually like lab number 2, lab number 3, lab number 4, and lab number 6. Those are the ones I count. The other ones are there for practice or in case you miss one. All right, so that's what a lab is. They will happen roughly every other week. There's also things called quizzes. Okay. Again, I'll try to put it into context of 1101. I know in 1101 you would have also had some similar types of quizzes where you were asked to predict the output of various programs. Here's a little Python snippet. What's the output of this program? It shows up as an MCQ, or maybe you have to type a number. That's what a quiz is. They occur during the lab period. It's 20 minutes is usually more than enough. And yeah, there'll be 5 of them. They also happen basically every other week. So one week you'll have a lab, next week you'll have a quiz, next week you have a lab, next week you have a quiz. It keeps alternating this way. If I have to put 2 assessments on the same week, sorry, it's only because of scheduling. Okay, and I know I've got some issues coming with Ramadan. I might have to do something, but I try my best not to. All right, so that's what the quizzes are. And the labs and the quizzes, yeah, these are the small marks. They're usually worth like 2 or 2.5 each. They're nothing really to be scared about, but it just simply means that you do have to come a little bit prepared. All right, next thing up, we have something called, let's do the midterm first because everybody understands what that is. The midterm will happen during midterm week. Well, okay, more precisely, it'll happen on the Saturday just at the very end of the midterm week. Okay, sorry, yes, it has to be a Saturday. I really don't like to do that, but unfortunately with, I think we have 23 lab sections this semester, I can't make 23 versions of the midterm. If I start now, I still can't make 23 versions. I cannot reuse the same midterm across all the sections. Sorry, that also doesn't work. And even if I did produce 23 different versions, here's what happens. The students from Sunday's group comes and complains saying the people who did the test on Tuesday had an easier test. The people on Tuesday claim the people on Thursday had an easier test. And the people on Thursday say the people on Sunday had the easier test. So there's no solution to it except to drag everybody in. And sorry, it isn't just you. I have to come in too. I have to make the instructors come in. So trust me, this is not something I want to do, but unfortunately it's just absolutely necessary to guarantee that everybody gets the same level of fairness. So I really do apologize in advance for that. As soon as the syllabus comes out, it will have a date on it. Okay, and I will let you know. If you look through the schedule and look for midterm week, you can expect the Saturday. Okay, there's also a lab test. Okay, that's also, unfortunately, a Saturday. Here's what happens. The midterm happens around week number 7 or 8. It's worth 20%. The midterm consists of 2 parts. There's an MCQ tracing part, so it's like the quizzes. Probably harder, but it's like the quizzes. And there's always 1 or 2 programming questions that also go with it. So it's mostly tracing. Well, actually, it's half tracing, and half the points are the programming exercises. Okay, that's a midterm. The lab test, on the other hand, usually happens about 3 weeks after. Again, I've got it scheduled out here somewhere. I just can't show it yet because I'm still waiting for the syllabus. That is entirely programming. Usually I run 5 programming questions. Again, it's 2 hours, but it's all programming, no tracing, just straight out, do you know what you're doing in terms of programming? Okay, that's the difference. So sorry, those are the 2 nasty, unfortunate weekend assessments. And again, yes, I have to ask the instructors to come in too. All right, and then of course there will be a final exam at the end. The final exam is worth 35%. The format of the final exam looks very, very similar to the midterm. It's half tracing, half programming. Okay, I'm not expecting this evaluation scheme to change. Okay, so I suspect that this is going to be what it is. As soon as I get out the syllabus, then we'll hopefully have it finalized. All right, missed assessments. Oh, we have a lot of assessments. Yes, we have a lot of assessments in this course. Are you going to be sick? Are some people going to be sick? Yes. Will some people be sick? Yes. Okay, so it's going to happen. All right, so here's what's going to happen if you miss something. If you miss a lab or a quiz, what's going to happen is your instructor is going to use the next lab or quiz. That's it. Sometimes they might, for example, if you miss lab number 4, maybe they'll get you to lab number 5, or maybe they'll get you to lab number 6 because it's the next evaluated one. Doesn't matter, but that's what's going to happen. If you missed the very last one, we'll use the grade from the final exam. It'll come back. Okay, so everybody knows up front what it is. You'll notice that neither of those has the word requires a medical note. It's honestly, it's not worth the effort for me to deal with this. It's not really worth the instructor's effort. If you miss something for some reason, that's how we deal with it. Okay, medical note or not, I don't care. However, please note, you can only do it once. Okay, so if you miss lab 1 and then you miss quiz 1, you're getting a 0 on one of them. Okay, that's it, just one time. Only one missed assessment. All right, if you missed a midterm with a medical note, if you oversleep, sorry, can't help you. But if you missed the midterm with a medical note, what we will do is we will wait, and on the final exam, once we have that grade, we'll put the grade back on the midterm. That's your grade for the midterm. I don't recommend doing that because what happens is your mid-semester grade will look completely miserable, and you'll actually have absolutely no idea where you stand. Okay, so it's in your best interest to, okay, obviously if you're sick, it's fine, but if you're that's not a good one. All right, if you miss the lab test with a medical note, okay, no, you don't get out of that one. We'll make you come the next weekend and do it. Okay, you can ask back, yes. Is the deferred lab exam easier? No, usually it's harder, so let you know what happens. All right, and finally, with the missed final exam with a medical note, well, this is really a registrar's office thing. You get a deferred exam. Okay, that's it. But you can't stack these things up, please. You're really putting yourself into a lot of trouble. All right, here we go. Textbook. Oh, nobody reads the textbooks. Why? Well, because they cost too much money. Yeah, okay, here we go. OpenStax. Oh, really? You're going to make me copy it. Okay. All of these links, by the way, I'll make sure that are available in D2L. Here we go. Is this the one? Okay, here we go. A couple of semesters ago, okay, so you know there will be an official textbook in the course syllabus. Don't even look at it. Okay, it's not going to help you. It'll probably make things worse, actually. It's really, really bad. If you're looking for some additional resources, okay, yes, there are lots of resources. There are lots of books. There are lots of decent books that you can find that are not exactly legit because basically somebody's scanned it and uploaded it. This is the book that I use from an official point of view. It's free. Okay, there's absolutely no problem. It doesn't completely cover everything for the course, but it actually does a pretty decent job, and I will show you what I use to supplement this. Okay, so there's lots of stuff in here. There's some little videos and so on. There's some little stuff. It's not bad. The only thing that's really missing from it is it's missing a lot of practice exercises, which I wish they had. We try to supplement it with this stuff. Okay, so that's the official textbook. Every slideshow that I will put, I will always say exactly where things are going. So here, let me do a quick demonstration about what a previous version of the course looks like. just because this way I've got everything in place. Okay, and it's actually pretty decent to show you what's in here. Okay, lecture section content. Here, we'll just pick something like week number 3. Here you go. This is a set of slides that I used last semester about looping. Yeah, they'll be almost the same. And inside, you'll find that there is a textbook section, and this one is 5.1. So that's referring to the textbook over there. Okay, so this is what I try to do to make things to make students as successful as possible. All right, and there's also a set of additional notes in D2L for any missing topics. Okay, let me see. Perfect, I do have it. You'll see that there's an area here called Student Resources, and that's the link to the OpenStax Python book. There's also this area here called Book Appendices, and these were for the things that we simply didn't, or the textbook doesn't provide. So there's lots of support in the course for you. On top of this, there's lots of websites available, and there's also AI. Oh, I'm not supposed to tell you to use AI, am I? Okay, I believe that there's a comment towards the end. All right, let's get back to here, and okay. Here we go. So the D2L lecture section. Okay. Yes, you will have been loaded into 2 sections in D2L. I think you're pretty comfortable with the idea. Now, basically, anything to do with what goes on in this room between 2 and 3:30, this you will find in section 1. Anything that happens during your lab sections, you'll find in sections 2, 3, or 4. All right, so you'll find news announcement about major assessments. Yes, I will post them. You'll find a textbook links. It doesn't say that the syllabus is here, but yes, it will be there. You'll find all of the slides. Hopefully you'll find some self-assessments, assuming I remember to put them up there. Sorry, I don't think I copied them. The lectures are still quite... Okay, so there's a couple of things here about the lectures. A lot of people just kind of blow them off. I don't really recommend that you do it. Okay, I know that people do it, and I can't force you to be here. Well, first of all, we can have fun. We can make fun of other sections. We don't do this today. We'll try to do our best to make it not completely dull. I usually don't read through slides. This is like something weird today. Most of the time what I will do is I will solve problems and then we'll skim the slides afterwards to make sure that I haven't missed something. The most important thing that I can probably teach you in terms of this course is not about what the answer is, but how I got there. And what I do when I solve any problem is I will talk you through it. I will show you a process. Okay, how do we write a function to do this? I will show you a process. You can't use the exact process all the time because sometimes some problems get a little bit funny, but at least it'll give you a really good idea about, okay, how do I do this? I hope that even through 1101, you've already discovered knowing the answer doesn't mean that you can find the answer on your own. Yeah, because although you might know the answer to one problem, as soon as a slightly different problem shows up, you're stuck. Okay, so really programming is less about what's the answer, but how do I get there? The easiest way to put this into a context you'll understand is think about any math course. When you study for a math course, do you study the problems? And the answer is no, you study a technique. You practice the technique. This is exactly what you need. And unfortunately, a lot of people take INFS 1201 thinking, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go through the slides, and I'm going to read all the slides. I'm going to know all the definitions. There are no definition questions in this course. Okay, everything is, do you understand what's going on? Can you solve a problem? These are the 2 things that I evaluate. Okay, and that's one of the reasons why the course sometimes gets a bit of a bad rap, because sometimes students are not quite ready for that, and it does require a lot of practice. Okay, a lot of practice outside of class. Don't go to the lab and say, okay, I've done my 3 hours, I must know everything. It's not nearly enough time for the course. If I had to put a number on it, we're probably talking between 10 and 25 hours a week for the course. Sorry if that sounds scary. The 25 if you're really far behind, the 10 if you're really, really good and you're on top of things. Okay? That's an honest thing, so just let you know. So when somebody says, oh, I took the course and failed it twice, ask them how many hours per week they put in. Usually it's not very much. Okay, it really isn't. These are also the people that don't actually try things in the labs because, well, they didn't have to do anything in the lab. They don't fall into that trap because this is a way to see me again in September. Okay, and you probably don't want to do that. Okay, in the class I will show you the tricky things. I will make mistakes. Sometimes I make mistakes on purpose because I'm trying to show you something that I know the students do. There's going to be a whole lot of times where I make mistakes here, and I don't mean to, and I'm going to get stuck. And somebody in the back is going to say, yeah, look, you forgot, you named it this one. I can always claim that, yeah, I did it on purpose, but, sometimes I don't. And, yeah, I like getting stuck. I like going through this because guess what? You're going to get stuck too. And we have to walk through how do we get ourselves unstuck. Okay, there is going to be a copy of the grade book in the lecture section, but it's not going to be kept up to date quite as much as what shows up in the grade book. So for the most part, you can ignore the grade book that shows up in the lecture section. It has to be there because of a process we use, but it might get out of sync. Like you might say, hey, I got a 0 here, but over in the lab section it says 15 out of 15. Just wait, and eventually it gets there. All right, a couple of things about the lecture section. What else did I say in the next page? Oh, okay, I'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about what's in here. Okay, this is the current semester. Okay, let me go to a previous semester for a second. All right, so I can't show you the grade book because I'm not going to show you people's grades. Please, I hope I don't click on this. All right, so here's what you're going to find. All right, table of contents. Yes, you're going to see a syllabus. And guess what's inside the syllabus module? Yeah, the syllabus. Okay, it'll go here. I'll make sure to post an announcement. There's a bunch of student resources. These are things that will help you. Like, for example, the coding standards. I will talk about that because this has become kind of a real trouble. We'll do that next week. We've got the midterm past problems and the lab exam past problems. And what these two things are, these are documents which contain all of the questions I've ever asked in the past 5 semesters, I think. So everything is here. So you don't have to like covertly ask around in WhatsApp groups, and I figure I better just give it to you. There's no solutions, so you'll have to work through those on your own because me giving you a solution doesn't help. You need to find it. But everything is here, so you don't have to worry about, ooh, hey, I got last year's questions. Yeah, that's fine. Will I ask them this year? No. No, I never reuse the same questions. I can make as many as I want. I have some instructor resources which will be hidden. There's nothing secret in there. It's things you guys just don't need to see. All right, but in any case, underneath the lecture section, everything will be organized according to week. I will show you once I have the syllabus in place about how to read the syllabus. Sorry, I can't show you this today because I could be misleading. I won't put anything until I have an official syllabus. But basically, you can see that in the fall semester, week number 2, I covered these 2 things. Okay, that's it. Week number 3, I covered these 2 things. Generally what I do is things get hidden at the beginning of the week. I usually do it Friday or Saturday. Okay, so that's it. There will probably be some practice questions that pop in. You'll need these around lab tests. You don't need these right away. Let's see, we've also got this thing right here called lecture recordings. This is something that I do in this section. I only do it in this section. And what it is, it's a link to a YouTube video covering exactly what we did. So you'll notice today that there's a little bit of a red bar around it. That's actually a reminder to me to say, yes, I'm recording this. All right, so why do we do the lecture recordings? Okay, first of all, it's not the best environment. Okay, yeah, I get it. It's not the best learning environment. It is what it is. Okay, so I've got to cover this lecture. I've got to cover the lecture to supposedly 110 people, which I have less than that today. Yeah, I know. So we've got 110 people. Yeah, the room's going to be pretty packed. There are going to be people who are rather excited to not be here, and they're going to let everybody around them know, and there's going to be a lot of noise. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I record it. Please don't make noise. Okay, if you don't want to be here, not an issue. Talk about attendance in a second. Okay, please, if you don't want to be here, we don't want you here either. And yes, this is even on the recording. All right, I'm recording this because if the people that aren't here don't understand the missed assessment policy, well, then that's no good. Because then they'll say, well, I didn't know. Well, here you go. I provide the recordings in case you actually are sick and you do want to catch up on things, or you had to step out of town or whatever. I know sometimes it happens. Sometimes there are times where you just can't show up. That's what the recordings are here for. The recordings are not being done so that people can say, hey, good, I can just stay home. I don't recommend it. I can't stop you from using them this way, but okay, this is really what they're here for. Generally, I will record most things. Sometimes I don't record the review sessions. just because I'm nasty. Especially if a review session shows up and there's only 4 people, I might just say, whoops, I forgot to record. Okay, so just warning. Just warning. I'm not required to record these things, but most of the time I will record them and they will show up, including today's lecture, as long as nothing goes wrong. Okay, what do we got next? Anything else I want to show? No, I think that's it. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to cover in the lecture section. Okay, let's turn the page to something very, very important. That's the lecture section attendance. All right, nobody's new here because everybody has taken at least one course. You are completely aware of the card reader outside the door. Okay, the card reader, yeah, you tap and you come into class and that will mark you as being present for the entire duration of the class. Here's the way how things work and the way how I'd have to manage this, and then we'll talk about what the obvious ramifications are. Okay, so it says you're recommended, so this is up to you. When you come in, tap your card, use your phone, check PeopleSoft, find out whether or not your card tap is being recorded. If it's being recorded, you're probably in pretty good shape. Okay, it's being recorded. If you forget your card, or you realize that, hey, my card scan didn't work, no problem. I keep a piece of paper up here at the front. Just come down at the end, put your name on it, put your ID, and I will make sure that your attendance is recorded. That's the way how attendance is looked after in this course. If you do not tap your card and your name is not on this piece of paper, do not send me an email saying, oh, I was there, but I forgot to tap, and I forgot to sign. The answer is nope, sorry, I don't do that. And if you reply back saying, yeah, but my attendance is now over 15%, I'll say, my policy is that if your name's not here and your tap has not been recorded, you are not present. Okay, so no, due to abuse, I can't do that type of thing. Okay, so just sign. My recommendation, if you're getting really close to the 15% threshold, sign every day. That way there's no question. Okay, it protects you, protects me. All right, I suppose it's possible I could do some manual spot checks. Usually I don't in this course, but it all kind of depends. Like, for example, in another course, I had 70 students registered. I checked the system, there were 70 or 65 taps, and there were 3 students actually in the room. So I had all 3 students sign the paper that day, and everybody else marked absent. If you want to tap and run, I've got one piece of advice. Forget what I can't really see like people tapping and running over there. So go to that door, otherwise you see this. Just use the other one so you can't see me, I can't see you. Okay, and take a look in, if there's like 5 people, don't do it. Actually come to class that day. So if it gets really, really small, I'll be nasty and I'll put out the list and say, okay, everybody sign it. Generally 1101 or 1201, I don't get that so much. Okay, but just warning, I am allowed to do this according to our process. All right, next one up, the D2L lab section. Hey, we're getting close. There's only 3 more slides. So the D2L lab section, you will find news items about your labs. You will find the exercise sets. Oh, it says solutions. It doesn't contain solutions anymore because I don't really need it. And you'll find all of the assessments. So the quizzes, the midterms, the final exams, all of the modules that you'll be doing, all of these things happen over in the lab section. So when you get into the lab section, don't look in section 1, look in 2, 3, or 4. All right, and of course you'll find the official grades. That's where you'll find everything. Okay, labs. All right, so what I will do is I will provide a little bit of a background on how the labs are going to work this semester, because they're a little bit different than what we've done before. So let me give you like a 5-minute description. It'll sound incredibly complicated, but I believe after you do 1 or 2 of them, you'll say, okay, I get what's happening. Okay, so your lab instructor will talk about this as well. If I'm your lab instructor, I will talk about this next week. Here we go. So just so that you are aware, especially if you've taken the course before, it's a little bit different. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab week number 3 because that's got some interesting things in it. All right, here's what's going to happen. During each lab, so this is the 3-hour period, the very first thing that will happen is the evaluation. That's either a lab or a quiz. Okay, week number 3, it's a lab. Okay, so remember, a lab is programming exercise. That is going to happen right at the beginning of class. So if your class is at 8 a.m. in the morning, that's when that assessment's going to take place. It's going to be done by 8:25. So if you show up at 8:30, what does that mean? You're not doing the lab. It's a 0. Sorry, done. Okay, end. Show up on time. Next one up. Once we get the assessment out of the way, we've now got these things called modules. So I called it Module 2. It's about conditions. There's a lot of things. There's a small PowerPoint slide you'll go through. The lab instructor will give you these. There's a set of mastery problems. These are little MCQs. Some of them are very, very tricky. There will be 10 questions, and basically you have to get all 10 questions correct in order to proceed. You get to try it many, many times. You get to ask questions. You get to pull out your phone and take pictures and send it over to ChatGPT to get your answers if you want to. I don't recommend it, but you can do it. Once you have gone through this, you will expose the practice problem set. Okay, so the practice problem set, it's a set of usually 9 problems. They range in difficulty from really simple to quite challenging, and that's what you're going to spend most of your time doing. And at the end of the class, you'll do something called an exit check. Again, it'll be a small quiz. Doesn't count. Oh, and the first quiz, by the way, doesn't count either. And the idea is that you have to do this, and the instructor's not going to let you leave the room until you finished it. But again, you can ask for help. It's not like, oh, I'm stuck on my own for an hour. No, ask for help. Use your phone. Ask your friend to help you. All of these are allowed. It's all about learning. All right, and then there will be some homework questions. I have to tell you this because even the instructors, it's the first time they're seeing it. Okay, so why am I doing this? Okay, because I'm tired of students walking in late. I'm tired of students just copying and pasting questions over to ChatGPT, copy and paste the answers, and then leaving. This is not promoting learning, and as a result, we have extremely high failure rates in the course because people are just not practicing enough. And I think if we do practice enough, we can actually improve our pass rate. That's why we're doing it. So sorry, it seems a little bit chaotic. It seems very, very forced, but sorry, I have to do something because every time we have a large number of students fail, somebody will come and ask me, is like, why is the failure rate so high? And if I say, well, it's because the students aren't doing anything, I have absolutely no proof of it. So this way, if you don't do it, now I have proof. And then I can say, see, we're doing our best. So that's why. So it's considerably more structured than whatever it is that's been done before. So if you've taken the course before, expect something a little bit different. I hope this works. I put an enormous amount of time in trying to put these exercises and all of these topics together so that we can have some more success. That's what I'm trying to do this for. Okay, so please do actually put some effort in the class. All right, so, how to succeed in this course, blank. Not quite. All right, so how to succeed in the course. Okay, so, I mean, this is what everybody wants. Okay, biggest question I've seen so far about the course. Okay, I've had 3 or 4 students walk by. You know what their question is? Is it harder than last time or easier? Okay, that's not a question that I can ask. It's not a question I can answer. You see, when it comes to evaluating students, we've got a set of objectives. Students are supposed to be able to demonstrate certain things at a certain level. Like, for example, you have to be able to demonstrate you understand what's going on with programming. And usually I do that through MCQs and tracing questions. You have to be able to demonstrate that you can actually solve problems, and you do this by writing programs. This is what I do. I can't ask the same questions again because at that point you're not demonstrating you can actually solve a problem, you're just demonstrating that you can remember an answer. That's what makes the course more challenging, is because you actually have to prove that you actually know what's going on. All right, so that's one of the issues. So you know it's more difficult. I really like this very, very similar to calculus. Oh, and you know what else? I went through and I looked and I said, okay, I mean, is this the highest failing rate or highest failing course in the entire institution? No, it isn't. There are math courses that are the same. And if you say, yeah, I'm in banking, fintech, actually the accounting course also has a pretty high failure rate. Why? Well, think about the banking, think about the accounting stuff for my fintech students. I'm sure in accounting, you probably learn, like, what does the word profit and loss and what does the word balance sheet mean, but you probably can't pass the course by just knowing those names. You have to know how to actually calculate them, okay? Yeah, it's this applied nature. This is the thing that makes the course more difficult. All right, so how are you going to get through? Okay, attend all the lectures, okay? I will show you techniques about how to get through. If you miss a lecture, watch the video at least. All right, and I don't mean fast forward and just look for the answers. Actually listen to what I'm saying. So if you're going to tap and run and watch the video, watch the video. Don't just say, yeah, it's there. I've got all the answers. Actually do it. Because here I will tell you the problems that students have. I've seen them all, at least I think. And yeah, it's you need to see them as well, because guess what? If one student has made a problem, you're probably going to make the problem too. So how do you get yourself out of that? All right, finish the exercises in the labs, even if you don't get the points for it. All right, there's a set, as I said, of 9 exercises that you do during the labs. You don't submit them. Oh, good, I don't have to do them. Well, these are how you learn. If you don't do them, you're not going to learn. If you don't learn, you're not going to be able to pass the assessments. End of story. And again, you'll be back asking me, is it easier this time or harder? Okay, so it's please do this. Programming is all about practice, and not by looking what somebody else has. Quite often what I will do is I'll say, okay, I don't know if you've ever watched YouTube videos of people playing musical instruments, guitar, violin, piano, whatever it is. It's really cool to watch, isn't it? And if you know a little bit about playing a piano and you watch somebody else play, you go, wow, that's really cool. Does that make you better? And unfortunately, no, it doesn't. It's very entertaining, okay, and you can really be inspired by it and say, oh, I want to learn that piece. But unfortunately, if you don't practice, you actually don't learn. And the same thing is true here. You will see me do stuff in programming, and okay, it's not nearly as wow as actually like performing, but maybe you'll look at it and go, hey, yeah, that was kind of cool, I saw, but you're not going to actually be able to repeat that unless you actually practice these types of things and practice things that are similar. Okay, so success really comes from doing a lot of practice. Work on extra exercises. Don't just stick to the ones that I've given. And you'll say, well, where do we get them from? It's coming here. Find a book, especially one with questions. So look around, and if you don't want to find this one, the last bullet is your big savior, ChatGPT. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people use ChatGPT for 2 things. Okay, and I'm going to tell you the way how not to use in this course. I know a lot of students will take a question, paste in the ChatGPT, and say, give me the answer. This is not going to be helpful, okay? Unless you're completely 100% stuck, that will not provide you any benefit whatsoever. And as soon as you do that, that question is now wasted. You will never learn anything from the question. That's the danger. Second thing I see students use for is they will say, okay, explain this to me. Okay, that one is very, very sketchy. Yes, I do see students sometimes in the lab saying, please explain this, please explain this. Trust me, this is not going to be really helpful. It might help you with some of the MCQ tracing questions, but it won't help you with programming, because the programming will be, here's a problem, solve it. And ChatGPT is not there to help. So you can't ask it to solve, you're on your own. So if you want to use ChatGPT, here's the best thing you can do is go to it and say, I have a test coming up and I am going to be asked about the following things. Please give me some questions. Now, you have to be very careful about what questions you ask, because sometimes if you ask ChatGPT, say, okay, give me some MCQs about Python, immediately what it comes back with, it'll say, which of the following words are used for conditions? And it'll have things like if, while, def, and global. Okay, I don't ask questions like that. Okay, I ask very different questions. When we get closer to the midterm and the big assessments, I will show you how to use ChatGPT correctly. In fact, you can use this for basically all of your courses. It's called prompt engineering. And yeah, I mean, a lot of us use AIs these days. Please use it for you to become better. Don't just use it as a learning alternative, but actually use it to teach you how to deal with things. Like, for example, the best things is, hey, I need a programming problem about lists, put it in the form of a function, but you also have to include, please don't tell me the answer. Because otherwise it'll say, yeah, I can solve that, here you go. And now the question's wasted. You didn't learn anything. All right, so, but instead if you say, hey, look, I need some practice, please don't tell me the answer, don't ever tell me the answer, then what it can do is it can give you a question, and maybe you can paste your question in and say, hey, I'm stuck on this, can you help me with this? And just give me a hint. Don't tell me the answer, just give me a hint. Like, why is this not working? That's what we should be using AIs for, not for actually solving your problems, but for helping you. And if your argument is, yeah, but eventually AIs are going to be everywhere doing all the coding, that may be true, but unfortunately right now the learning objective is for you to be able to write the programs, not to be able to use an AI to write the programs. Okay, so unfortunately you're stuck in this one. All right, and the final thing, sorry, it isn't here, but I will also mention it. I've talked about our friends from Banking FinTech, so yes, I know you're here. I know I hear an awful lot of comments from them saying, oh, I'm not in IT, why are we taking this course? Why you're taking the course, that's a question for the business. I can give you some ideas. You see, a lot of data in the world of banking and finance shows up as big files that you need to look at and you need to analyze. And it isn't just always calculate the answer. Sometimes you need to say, okay, I want to take this value, I want to calculate this, and then I need to take this value and calculate this thing. It is actually incredibly useful, okay, for any type of business type transactions. And having access to an AI to be able to do this for you, yes, it's good, but guess what? The AIs make a lot of mistakes, and you have to be able to look at it and go, no, that's not right. Okay, so you kind of have to have these skills as well. So even if AIs are coming to help you, trust me, they lie to you all the time. And they won't tell you that they're lying. They'll say, no, it's perfectly fine. And as soon as you say, yeah, but in this case, and they'll say, oh, yeah, good point. Yeah, sorry about that. Now I'll adjust. So unfortunately, we still need this skill to be able to deal with this. So it isn't sort of letting anybody off. It isn't to say, yeah, sorry, you're stuck here. It's just, yes, obviously everybody in this room has to take this course. In order to get through this course, you have to learn the skill. And my job is to make sure that I evaluate the skill according to the objectives. Okay, and this unfortunately can cause a bit of tension, but hopefully I will provide you with enough skill and enough knowledge in the lectures that you'll be able to do the labs, and the labs will give you enough practice. You'll be able to get through the assessments. That's the goal of the course. Okay, and yes, it can be challenging, and as I said at the beginning, it will probably take more time, especially if you are somebody who struggles with math and abstraction concepts. Yeah, it's going to take more time, and don't underestimate the amount of time that the course takes. Don't wait until the midterm to start studying. Okay, that's probably my biggest thing. You don't have to start this week, but it's probably not a bad idea, but you definitely have to start next week. Okay, that is the end of the slides that I'm going to cover today. So you see, I'm going to stop my recording.